Boop. Yeah, it's recording. Hello friends, it's Cubby from A Personal Spin. I'm still doing this finger thing. And today I'm finally going to review Opeth's new album, Sorceress. Opeth are my favourite band, for anybody who didn't know. This was released on the 30th of whatever month it's not now, September 2016, on Nuclear Blast Records. And Nala loves it. She's my favourite blushie. She's not really. Yeah. Okay, an overview of the album. Well, the artwork is pretty disturbing. It's an evil peacock who's apparently murdered someone, which is pretty cool. The music on the album is as can be expected in some ways. It's much like the way Opeth have gone since Heritage. There's no growled vocals, however, there's definitely a distinct, harder edge to it. It seems more focused than Pale Communion, which personally I found to be a bit wandering. I haven't actually listened to it that many times. This album still has some of those elements, but it's much more controlled, I find. There's lots of keyboards and Moogs and B3 organs, which I really like. The guitar parts generally are either very heavy or soft and melodic, which is typical of Opeth. There's a lot of bass as well, which I like, and the drums are very cool. What's his face? Is it Axelrod? I always forget his name. Axelrod. Yeah, Axelrod. Martin Axelrod seems to have become a bit more flowy with his drums, a bit like Lopez was. He's sort of emulating that sound a little bit more. But what I really like about the album is the mix of styles. They've combined some of the elements from their older music with the new stuff that they're doing, and they're exploring a few other places as well. I find that the first part of the album is really it's quite energetic. It's very like, ooh, and then the middle bit sort of paces off a little bit and it becomes a bit slower, a bit thoughtful, a bit more, peaceful, and then the ending is sort of fast again. I quite like that. However, I can't help but feel they should have mixed it up a little bit, so some of the slower bits should have been in the beginning and some of the fast, just to keep the energy of the album going. But I like it. It's definitely an improvement over the last album, which is quite controversial, I have to say. Most people seem to really like Pale Communion and didn't like Heritage, whereas I thought Heritage was a bit better than Pale Communion. I just found Pale Communion a bit wandery. But anyway, enough about their other albums. This album is cool. It's still going to piss off all the metal people, but I like it. I've always liked Opeth. They are my favourite band. I still need to get it on vinyl. I haven't bought it on record yet, but I will do. And this is the bog standard regular version. I couldn't afford the posh version, but that's okay. I don't mind. Mikkel Ockerfeldt's vocals are rather splendid. He's certainly doing what he said he would do. He's trying new things. He's got a bit more of a gruffer voice this time in places, and in the softer songs obviously he's still got his very emotionally charged voice. So it's very good. It's definitely, it's a solid effort, I have to say. Production-wise, the album has a sort of an old school feel to it, but cleaner. I'm not sure how to really explain it. The drums, I really like the drum sound. It's definitely got a very early 70s, late 60s sound to it. They're very natural sounding. There's not much processing done on it, which is something else I noticed. The album isn't like clipping or anything like that, at least not on my copy anyway. It's very clean, maybe too clean. The first couple of songs are really bassy, and then it seems to sort of fall off a little bit, which is fine. I'm not sure if it was because the moods and that are really bassy, or if it's because Mendes was like, give me bass. Either way, I don't care, I thought it was really cool. It's definitely got quite a natural sound to it. You can hear that the guitars are naturally overdriven rather than fake distorted, which I actually prefer, because I find the music itself comes through a bit better when you overdrive the amps rather than distort with distortion. But that's kind of irrelevant, really. Yawn. Where was I? I don't know. The Wreath Sojourn, no, what's that say? The Seventh Sojourn even is. The Seventh Sojourn is a pretty good song. It's quite relaxing, I find. I've lost track because I yawned. So overall, the production on Sorceress is quite old school, which I quite like. The band are very good at that. They're naturals at sort of reproducing the old school sound. Okay, the good parts of this album are the fact that the band is progressing nice and steadily from to this new sound they've chosen to do. It's got very natural sound, it's very clean, it's very, well, natural. So there's very little like post-production processing. Obviously there's overdubs and all this stuff, but they've not like gone, oh, this guitar part needs to be cleaned with some kind of cleaning thing, or anything like that. Or maybe they've done a little bit of that, but I don't think they have done much. It sounds very nice to me. There's a good variety of sounds, and the songs all... Yawn again. And the songs all... They don't blend, but they all flow from one song to the next rather well, but not so much that they all just into one song. The bad side to the album, I think, is in places it lacks a little bit of energy. It's a bit like El Communion in some ways. There's a little bit of wandering, but it's much more controlled. But it's still a bit too much, maybe. Or they need to do the wandering, but with more energy. They seem to wander into like La La Land when they wander, and it all goes a bit slow and like blah, blah, blah. But I quite like the world percussion on one of the album songs. I can't remember which one it is, but it's really cool though. Actually, I think it's Strange Brew. My favourite songs on the album are the title song. Oh, dearie. My favourite songs on the album are Sorceress, Will-o'-the-Wisp, M, because I think that's a hilarious name, and Strange Brew. These are all great, great tracks. Pretty much every song on this one is pretty good, actually. But those are my favourite ones. Nala has decided to give it a nice, solid 7.5 to 8 pour rating. She can't decide which, so we're going to give it an 8, just because they're my favourite band. Yes, I know it's biased. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.